It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. Thursday evening, October 26th. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and euro this evening. Crude is bullish with a spike in channel as it tries to retest the prior month high. And my plan for tomorrow is to use the battle zone for buying opportunities tomorrow morning. The S&P is bullish, this time with a spike in range, telling me to focus on failures down in the battle zone or wait for the old fake out, breakout, pullback pattern tomorrow morning. The Nasdaq is bullish with a strong move higher to finish today's session, telling me to expect a shallow two-legged pullback for buying opportunities Friday morning. And gold is bearish and trying to retest a low from earlier in October. But a key support level is telling me either wait for a two-legged pullback back to channel highs or focus on traps and buyer failures as the market sinks down to monthly lows. The euro is also bearish and trading right at the low of a big steep bear channel. So my plan is to stay patient, wait for rotation, and sell the high back down to that low tomorrow morning. Speaking of tomorrow morning, we are ready to wrap up a great week here in the office. I apologize for not being here last night on the newsletter. I got a brand new, not a brand new computer, but I got a recently updated computer. It's back on track. We're back from the dead, and we're ready to have a great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight. So sorry I missed you last night. I really hate it when I can't get that newsletter out on time every evening, so I appreciate your patience. We got a Friday session tomorrow. We got a great plan setting up for the Friday session. Before we jump in, though, and put the plan together, I want to remind you, the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry, there's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link over here to the blog at Sideways Markets. Enjoy all the content on our blog, and make sure you grab the full-length version of our nightly newsletter. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. Upper left-hand corner, I'll shoot you an email every time the nightly newsletter goes live. Lower left-hand corner, follow me on social. Whatever your flavor of choice, StockTwits, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Follow me throughout the week for important charts, links, and updates. And speaking of charts, how easy is this? All the charts from tonight's video, that's right, you can have them on your computer for tomorrow, right where it says click here to download today's charts, follow that link, and have those charts locked and loaded for Friday's session. And speaking of Friday's session, what are you waiting for? Grab the free pass, come out and join me as a guest in the trade room this week, next week, whenever it's convenient for you. I look forward to teaching and trading there with you. You're going to learn more with me on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Don't hesitate, grab that free pass, and I'll see you guys right in the trade room. Speaking of the trade room, tomorrow morning we open up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Let's check the news, shall we? Now, of course, before we jump into tomorrow's Friday, October the 27th, before we jump into tomorrow, we do have some news coming out of China tonight. We have industrial profits coming out of China tonight. We do expect to see that, right, move the needle a bit in the overnight session. So if you're planning on trading in Asia, early London, be aware of that overnight. Tomorrow morning, not a lot of news, but very important news tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So mark your calendars tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. That'll be a nice shot in the arm to get this session rolling with us tomorrow morning in our trade room. Don't forget, we'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Tomorrow's a Friday, and Fridays always remind me of two important things. One, early in, early out. Two, prior week levels, prior weekly open, high, low, close. These are the two main components of a Friday morning. First component, early in, early out. Now, if you've watched my newsletter before, you know what I'm going to say. Towards the end of the day, towards the end of the week, towards the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year, as we start getting later in the day tomorrow, that's combined now with the end of the week. And we're also starting to look at the end of the month as well. And what that means is traders take bigger risks. It is natural, right? It's almost instinct that when the end of the day comes around, you're looking a little bit more tired. You don't have the energy you had, right, to follow those rules. It's almost like driving when you're tired, right? It's difficult to keep between the lanes, right? That same thing happens, right? That same thing happens during the trading session. So as we get later in the day tomorrow, my number is always 11 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. It's perfectly fine to hold trades after 11 a.m. Just make sure you're aware you better have a good reason to be getting into positions, taking on more risk after 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. And I always make sure to enforce that rule in our trade room on Friday mornings as well. I also want to point out, as we go into the end of the week, and the end of the month, we start watching those prior week and prior month. Prior month levels be more important for next Tuesday, right, as we go into the end of the month, right? But this is the last last hurrah of the month of October. The bottom line is tomorrow is a Friday. It's the end of the week, so we start watching last week's open, high, low, and close levels. Those are always going to be on our radar. So we get a bunch of those marked up on the charts tonight. They become price magnets, and I got to say, a lot of the prior week high and low levels they would require the market to reverse directions. So we are seeing some potential for reversals tomorrow, which of course we'll go look at right in more detail in just a few moments. So tomorrow morning, GDP at 8:30, early in, early out. Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you too. And again, right, those prior week open, high, low, close levels. It's also kind of a holiday weekend coming up here as well. You know, Halloween is on Tuesday, the 31st. So I would imagine that there's probably going to be a little bit of fun going on this weekend. I got my costume all picked out. I'm going as Justin Turner from the Dodgers this year. Anyways, Google him. You'll see what I'm talking about. But bottom line is, right, there's going to be a lot of really great parties going on this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people distracted by that tomorrow, right? So we may see that creep in, right, early tomorrow afternoon as well, right? So keep it in mind, early in, early out, prior week levels, and let's shove off and let's get this party rolling here for us. We got crude oil tonight, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and we can't forget about the euro. Let's start tonight with crude oil. Crude is bullish with a spike in channel, which tells me the bulls have been very strong the last few hours today, and most of the bulls are most likely already in this move higher. So my best option is to wait for them to start taking profit, waiting for a two-legged pullback to buy more down in the battle zone tomorrow. One thing I'm definitely watching for tomorrow is the prior month high, which is only a $0.50 away. Definitely within striking distance here for crude traders tomorrow. My plan is to look for the pullback and then watch closely to see if the buyers push to new highs, which will then be a signal they want to make a run to finish the week strong. And the most important thing right now is as we go into the end of the week, yeah, there's that prior week high right there. And of course, as we go into the month, right, there's a prior month high. Now, we may end up kind of stuck in the mud here around that prior week high. So don't be surprised if this ends up looking like the S&P. We'll grab the S&P in a few moments here as well. But don't be surprised if we end up kind of sinking in sideways here around that prior week high. Or don't be surprised if this thing continues going higher and then comes back to use that prior week high, right? Almost a little bit of a support level there before it makes that run right up to the prior month high. So we're definitely watching those prior week levels because, again, tomorrow is a Friday. With that said, most important thing outside of the prior week level is the structure on the chart. We're definitely bullish. There's no question about that. But the problem with this is that it's a spike in channel. Now, spike in channels are very, very clear. If you didn't get in long during the break higher, then you probably bought on the pullback. If you didn't get long on that pullback, you probably got long on this pullback. So the reality is unless you left the office today, right, you probably, right, most people who are sitting at their desks are probably either already in the move or they've got their profit and they're waiting now for a pullback. So we have to assume a spike in channel is so obvious that it gets everybody involved. And when everyone's involved, well, there's nobody left to buy up there anymore. And the only thing to happen now is we wait for a pullback. Now, sometimes these spike in channels, they keep rolling higher, and we still want to wait for that pullback, right? So what my plan is for tomorrow, I want to see a nice deep two-legged pullback here and buy down in that battle zone. We get the prior week high kind of acting as support. We got a little gap, a little pullback area there for that battle zone. In all reality, the battle zone could be a lot larger. It could be all the way down to that 52.30 area because if you look left, you'll notice that's also a reversal line there as well. So I like to keep the battle zone as small as possible. It's easy to get lazy and make it larger. It really could be larger, though, on this particular chart. So what's the plan here for tomorrow? What I'd love to do is I'd love to see us in the overnight get a nice strong move down, use that now as kind of a two-legged pullback, right? Draw that trend line over, use that two-legged pullback, right, for the buy. Or maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get a two-legged pullback into the failure, right, into the failure, into the move back higher, right? So the bottom line is maybe we pull back, one try, two try, failure, strength, pull back and go. These will obviously be easy to see once we get down to that area. Right, let's see that pullback, nice deep pullback, buy low, and then where's the target? The target will be at that point, as long as we don't break below that swing at 52.30, the target will be up to that measured move, right? 52.89. Then from there, as I mentioned earlier, I want to look from there and see, do we see acceptance or do we see rejection, right? If you're in the trade room this morning or if you joined in the free passer today, we had a great example of acceptance and rejection. Bottom line is, if we see acceptance and price goes through, then we look for that trap low. Be careful not to buy into that prior month high, right? And look to buy low once we go from there. If we see rejection, right? If we see rejection, then this becomes the trading range, and our focus is buying off the low. Now, that may end up late in the day tomorrow as a bear market, right? If we do see rejection, we may see a bear. It'll be a wide enough range, right, to create a bear environment going back down. So if we get that opportunity, we can look for the buy opportunities going up, rejection off that high, and then selling opportunities back down to that low. Just make sure you have the awareness of where you are so you're not buying into the high or selling into that low. Now, I mentioned earlier the fact that we could just end up down, back up, and then kind of get stuck in the mud here, right? If that's the case, this becomes a range, one try, two try, and we're buying right below the low of that trading range. Last but certainly not least, how do we turn bearish? Yeah, these markets, they're all over the place these days. You got to be ready for everything. As I always say, every day begins with a clear chart and a clear mind. We could be bearish tomorrow. How does it look bearish? How do we go bearish tomorrow? Three things, right? Strength, pullback, strength. Strength, pullback, strength. In other words, I want to see a strong move down rather than the sellers failing and buyers taking it back up on a failure, right? The bears take it strength, pullback, and then strength. Once we see that strength going lower, then I can go out, find myself a new bear channel. I like to mark up those prior swings, a little reversal line there, right? And then look for that up trap, right? And then back down from there. Where's the target for the bears tomorrow? Easy target, back down to today's lows, 51.91. Great looking chart. Watch that prior week high. Watch that two-legged pullback and watch for, right, that confirmation through the high, right, if we're going to try to make a run up to that prior month high. Let's keep rolling over to the Emini, the S&P 500. S&P is bullish with a spike in range. This is the possibility for tomorrow on crude oil, right? And also kind of a hidden spike in channel. It's not really the greatest spike in channel, but it fits enough to make it worthy of our attention for tomorrow's session. The most important part of this chart is the trading range. This tells me to focus on failures below the low of the range or use a fake out, breakout, pullback pattern to new highs. One thing to keep an eye on for tomorrow is that prior week high. Now, at this moment, the high at 77.25 is a little bit out of reach, right? Even for this crazy S&P market right now. But a strong move to finish the week tomorrow is certainly possible, and be watching to see if buyers can get and hold above that channel I've drawn on here for confirmation, making a run for that target. One of the most important factors on this chart right now, again, is that prior week high. We obviously are a little bit far away, right? A little bit far away from that for tomorrow. You'll notice we'd have to basically double, right, the size of today's range. So, who knows? We'll definitely, like I said before, open mind every day we come in. The prior week high, though, is certainly going to be something else tonight. Once again, I apologize for missing last night's newsletter. My computer kind of spontaneously combusted on me yesterday morning. Oh boy, if you're with me in the trade room, you know what I was going through tomorrow. I learned a ton, though. I'll tell you, I'm not much of a computer guy myself. I have skills, but computer programming and computer maintenance is not really one of them. Yesterday was a great example of why you got to make sure you keep a good tab on the health of your computer, because when it's done, it'll it literally started smoking at the edges of the computer yesterday. And of course, so bottom line is I spent it's been a long 24 hours. I had to go back and forth to the computer store a few times because unfortunately Amazon doesn't deliver an hour later. So of course I had to go right computer store back and forth to make it work yesterday. But it's been a long 24 hours since then. I am excited to be back here and really excited to be back with you guys tomorrow morning. Don't forget, we'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time, right? We're going to do this together with all of our advanced members. And speaking of which, right, don't forget, if you want to learn more about the trading strategies we use here at School of Trade, if you want that free pass, come out and join me in the trade room as a guest. Grab the free trial. I'll shoot you an invite to join the trade room as a guest, where you'll see lots of different video examples of how we trade, what we trade in the trade room. And of course, don't forget, we have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes, and I'm always here standing by to answer your questions 24/7. If you're going out this weekend, be careful. It should be a great holiday weekend. I know Halloween's not until next Tuesday, but I would expect to see a lot of parties this weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing all your pictures on Facebook and Twitter tomorrow over the weekend. So keep posting, keep sharing. If you have any feedback for me, you can always find me on email. I'm jj@schooloftrade.com, or find the social media links on my blog. Tomorrow morning, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern time. If not, let's do it again on Monday evening, next Monday. That is the 30th day of the month. There's no newsletter on Friday nights. Have a great weekend. Come back with all your fingers and toes. Be safe. Have fun out there with the kids. Be well out there. Be nice to each other. And I'll see you next time, guys. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.